Welcome everyone to Growth School. I hope you had an amazing and phenomenal moment. It's great to be on Growth School again today. I hope you're super excited, you're super set to learn from the phenomenal knowledge that will be shared tonight. I hope you're so ready, just like I am ready to deliver a lot of the phenomenal things that will be shared today on the life of options part 2. Please do well to reach out to your friends. I will be coming up with my video very soon. So you'll be seeing my Valentine face. I hope you had a great moment. You had a great vow, and it was really unforgettable. Sorry to those who did not have vow. Feel free, you have hope. So we'll be celebrating our own vow at Growth School. All right, so it's so amazing to be here again. So let me bring on my face so that you will see my face, and we will get started right away. We will get started right about now. All right, awesome. Welcome everyone. It's that moment of Growth School where we share phenomenal knowledge. Um, Interesting. Been a while. Popola Yemisi Abosede. Yeah, good evening. It's been a while. I hope you're good. Nice to see you again on Growth School. And I hope you had an amazing day. All right. All right, so the life of options part 2. So last week we started with sharing on one principle that can really help you to live a life of option. And I shared that the life of option is very important because it shields you from being discouraged, from being disappointed, and from being disempowered. And irrespective of what goes on, or irrespective of what may be going wrong at a particular period or season in your life, you have what it takes to continually operate with personal sovereignty in your life. So you are not subject to what is going on wrong or what may be going on around you. You are able to live with superior wisdom, with superior stature, and you are able to decide what you really want for your life part time. And the first principle and the only principle which I shared last week was the principle of character. And I made mention of the fact that character is key, and you should always pay attention to the experiences people have when they meet you, because the experiences they have about you will be that which they will make use in recommending you for opportunity or denying you opportunities eventually. Okay, so like this week, I guess I had conversations with different students, and we started talking on certain things that would really help them as they begin to journey. You know, sometimes it's possible that maybe while you were in school, you always massage and you always encourage yourself in certain attributes that you were meant to work on, and then you just excuse them and say, oh, that's who I am. I think people should take me like that. I think people should accept me. Let me tell you the truth. People don't need to take you the way you are most times. I know you have always had those words that will say, oh, just leave you, just do you. People will take you the way that you are. And most times that statement that people seem to have lived by is the reason why eventually years from now or years in the future or eventually in their lives, those people cannot match them to certain opportunities that would have changed their life. So character is very important. Character is very critical if you must expand your base of opportunities and you will continually experience options in your life. Okay, now number two, secondly, I will be talking about connection. So, first, I spoke about character. Secondly, I will be talking about connection. There was this event that took place at a time when David, after he was anointed to become king, and of course, there was another king that was on the throne, And because he was skillful, he has the ability to play the string. He was so versatile at it. And someone saw that he was doing that, recommended him to the king. And this is one wisdom that I want you to pick from the life of David. When David got to the palace, David did not feel like, oh, now I've gotten the access to be in the palace. I could live anyhow, like one who was born in the palace, and I can begin to do all of the things I want at any time I want, in any way I want. David was very, very selective of his kind of friends. David did not select friends from the servants of the king Saul. He selected the friend from the son of the king. Okay, he made the son of the king to become his friend, and the son of that king was Jonathan. So he played his way through to a point whereby himself and Jonathan became really cordial, and they became best of friends to the point that he could discuss, he could learn the culture of kingship, he could learn the culture of royalty, he could learn the character of kings, and they could begin to engage and interact together. And that way they became cordial friends. Now, sometimes you seem not to understand that if for certain reason you did not have the privilege to be born in, say, a wealthy home, or you were not born by very rich parents, or you were not born by politicians, you were not born by those in power, you were not born by kings, you must learn to gain access whereby you can become friends with kings. Okay, kings in this form may not even necessarily mean the king, or may not really mean the very wealthy. It may mean their children, to a form where you can begin to understand their culture and you can begin to understand how things work around them. If you think of certain stories, there are people who grew, okay, who attained great height in life. They succeeded phenomenally in a form whereby their background did not match what they became. Why? Because of the kind of connection they decide to build. So they built connections with those who went to the school of the rich, and they started engaging with their knowledge and wisdom to the point whereby they were now qualified to get the opportunities of the wealthy. They were qualified to get the opportunities of those who stayed at the tip of the pyramid. Why? Because they were deliberate about their connection. Now listen, I know that people will say, does it mean that we should only make the rich people our friends? We should only be looking for sons and daughters? No, that's not necessarily what I mean. I mean, you are trying to build that connection so that you can build a system of knowledge around yourself, and you can understand the wisdom and entry point into the palace, and you can gain access into it. So it's very important that you become deliberate. See how some people thought that, oh, David succeeded as a king just because he was anointed. It was not just an anointing. You know, there are a lot of people who spiritualize greatness to a point where that they believe, oh, it's only when you do certain things. Study the life of David. Study the way David lived. David got to the palace, and his friend was who? Was a prince. Was Jonathan, who had the same kind of access to the throne in the way the anointing would have given him. Jonathan had access to the throne by birth. David had access by anointing. But he must not neglect the princely and the royal value that Jonathan had if he must succeed as a king on the throne. So it's very important that the connections that you build are very, very deliberate. When I was in, I think it was in secondary school, in primary school, because of the kind of family I came from, you know, very humble background. I was not born by wealthy parents or by anyone in power. My mom always told us that make sure that you make friends with those who are doing well in class. Make sure you make friends with those who are doing very well in class. And that needed to be a deliberate effort. Because sometimes you see those who are doing very well, they are always deliberate about those who are willing to help them do better, not those who bring them down. So sometimes you will need to go and read, you need to go and study, you will need to practice and practice again, so that when you need to engage with the brilliant ones in class, they would not see you as one who is coming to take away from them. They will see you as one who is coming to add from them. But eventually, because of the conversations that happen between you and those category of people, they will draw you into their circle. They will absorb you into their circle. Why? Because you understand the entry point into that circle. So connections are very, very important. Never let anyone guilt trip you that leaving those of trying, like they will always tell you, like, oh, are you not going to leave us? We have been there for a long time. But you need to ask yourself, I've been with these people for 10 years, for 15 years. What has changed about me? What value exactly are they adding to me? How are they making me move towards destiny that God is taking me to? How are they making me move into the throne of royalty that God wants me to sit upon? Imagine if David was taking counsel from the people who came from the background that he was born, and he never engaged in the conversation of Jonathan. He would never have known the custom of kings. So you have to be deliberate about your connections. If you must expand your options, if you must make progress in a great form, whereby even you will be surprised at why, even though people complain all the time, you always have the options that bail you out. You always have the option that bail you out. And let me tell you something that connection did for David. There was a time that David started feeling like, oh, Saul is angry, like Saul don't seem to be happy with him. And sometimes Saul will speak despair and almost want to kill David, like he wants to just eat him with a spear and then make him just die to the wall. And eventually David would just dodge and escape, and that was how David lived. Now, David then had a conversation with Jonathan that he does not know why Saul is angry with him, why Saul really wants to kill him. And then he discussed with Jonathan, they started having this conversation that, Jonathan, it seems that your father wants to kill me. Your father is not delighted with me. We are going to do something. I'm going to go on the field where we used to play, and I would hide in a particular place. When it's time for dinner, and everyone seems to be seated, when your father asks after me, and then you find out that he has an intention of death against me, do this, call a child, and just throw something to give me a sign that all is well, that your father is not angry. Or give me another sign to let me know that your father is angry with me, and it seems that I'm going to die if I remain in this palace. And eventually, they had dinner that day, and then the king asked for David, and he told him, oh, David told him he's sick, and that he needed to go and do all of this. He just tried to cover up David. And he found out that the father was angry and said, you this and this. It's like you want to do this. Are you not aware that you are supposed to be the next one? And you have conspired with this particular guy. And now you are not doing this. And then he looked as if he was angry. And he was almost trying to even kill his own son. He was trying to he was trying to murder his own son. And then Jonathan realized that, oh, this man really has something against David. This man seemed to want to kill David, and then he gave David the sign. The reason why lots of people, and different people most of the time, they get into deadly situation and they have no one to inform them is because they lack the connection that will grant them the escape route from such situation. Lots of people have gotten into scams. They have had people who scam them. They have had people who have swindled them, people who have just done lots of terrible things to them. Why? Because they lack the connection that would have granted them an escape from such situation. Who are you connected to that is giving you information that will make you escape the financial trouble that is coming? Who do you have in your connection that when there seem to be some sort of legal issues, and there's somebody who should stand for you legally, you have such connection that you can reach out to? And this is why you must be deliberate about your connection. You must build connection with people in the security force, people in government, people in the spiritual settings, people in terms of who can offer you wisdom when it has to do with life, people who can offer you wisdom when it has to do with financial decisions. You must be willing to build such connections. For example, there's a scheme that comes out, and right now you know you have the money, or maybe people are telling you, oh, this is going to do this. Do you have people you can seek financial advice from? And they will help you not to fall into such certain danger that would end up in premium tiers. So this is why you must understand that if you need to have the life of options, if you need to be shielded from deadly and regrettable situations in your life, you need certain connections that will make them possible. David had a Jonathan. Don't say, I know I've had conversation with certain people, and because of the experiences of life, like they've had people or they've had friends who maybe when they told them something about themselves, the friend took it and maybe made it a post online. People would make a post online and people, that's wisdom, this and this. But it's a story of an individual who told you a secret and expected you to be confidential about it, and then you decided to spread it. So because of such experiences, a lot of people now have trust issues. They don't talk to people. They are fearful to build connection. They don't have close friends. They don't have people they share their minds with, even though they know that this person seems to have what it takes to help me out. So this is why you have to become deliberate about building key connections in your life. Whether you like it or not, we live in a world that has been created, that have been programmed to be social. There is no progress. There is nobody who is wealthy who lived in isolation. They all needed to connect with somebody in order for them to do better. So if you really want to do better, you want to build options in your life, and you don't want to be limited in your life. You don't want to be limited in the things that you do. You don't want to be limited in terms of decisions you can take when certain things happen in your life. You need to build connections. So this is something that is very, very important. So you can get scammed if you are not connected. If you don't have a financial advisor, for example, I have friends that if I need to take certain decisions in some areas in my life, I just have someone I can reach out to. Oh, this. What do you think about it? And then they say this. Fine. I'm shielded. I know how to be deliberate about navigating through. I know how to move this way and this way. Why? Because there are deliberate connections that have been built to make that happen. So who are you connected to that can help you in critical situations in your life? Okay? And you must understand that also in building the life of options, because you cannot be an expert in everything, you need people who are experts in areas that you are not, who can feed you with information, the right information, premium and genuine information in those areas that would help you become knowledgeable in them. For example, you can be very good, maybe in terms of, oh, maybe you're very good when it has to do with, say, education, for example. Like you're good in the aspect of education, you can decipher certain things in education in a particular area. You may need someone in another area that has to do with law. You want to understand legal basis to certain area. You may need someone who is an expert in maybe investment, for example, in financial discipline, for instance, that will teach you and make you become knowledgeable in those things. You need experts in certain areas of life. So you must look at areas where you are deficient at, or areas where you're weak at, that you can build connection with an expert that can help, okay, that can help address those areas of your weakness. So to create the life of options, number two, you need connections. Okay, you need connections. You need connections. And through connections, you can build rounded and old knowledge that would save you from calamities eventually. Okay, you need well-rounded system of knowledge that will save you from calamities eventually. Now, number three way to build a life of option is competence. 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 And when I talk about competence, a lot of people would have believed that, oh, competence, oh, my skill, it's about my skill, it's about being good at this, it's about knowing how to speak, it's about knowing how to write, it's about knowing how to do this. No, but calm down. Calm down. The ability to be competent and to be truly competent at anything in a form where you can be recommended for opportunities will start by being genuinely knowledgeable. We start by being genuinely knowledgeable. You know, there are people who are good in terms of activities, like, oh, they can do this, they can do that, they can be here, they can fix that, they can fix this, they can do all of that. But when they do understand certain knowledge in that area, for example, oh, you say, for example, oh, you learned copywriting, and then you start doing a lot of things in copywriting, you're doing all of those things, you're doing all of this, and you don't understand the skill or people's skill of communicating that skill with knowledge to the people that can pay you premium. I don't mean the people that you will charge 15,000 and they'll be pricing it to 7,000 or 5,000. And they say, is it not just the right word? And then to give it to me. That's the level you will be at. And you will not be able to grow your options if you don't understand how to build the knowledge of the business, the knowledge of the market, the knowledge of the standards. Okay, these are things that you must understand. When it comes to competence, the foundation and the basis is premium knowledge. Premium knowledge about taking it to just mere skills to something like an agency where they can recommend you for something big in that particular field. So you need competence. Now, let me give you this instance. Do you know, if you are very conversant with the story of Joseph, like you've studied the story of Joseph, where Joseph went to the prison for something he was only innocent about. From the prison, he went to the palace, he interpreted dream for the baker and the wine presser of Pharaoh. And eventually, when the man got there, he forgot him. And after a while, the king had a dream, and then he went there and told him. Are you aware that all the experiences of Joseph seem to have been building certain competencies in him that made him ready and prepared for the assignment before Pharaoh? Do you know that Joseph needed to learn leadership skill? He learned leadership. He could not learn leadership in his father's house because he was the second to the last born. So who would even offer him a leadership role? Eventually, certain situation happened that took him to Egypt. He was sold as a slave. He was then sold to Potiphar. In Potiphar's house, everything was handed to his hand, and he learned leadership by practice. So he learned leadership by practice. He learned how to deal with people. He learned the psychology with people. He learned how to guide affairs. He learned how to work on projects. He learned how to make certain things come to pass. He learned goal setting. He learned actualization of certain things. And eventually, that leadership skill was needed when he actually became a prime minister. David learned certain things. He learned and mastered the system of interpreting dreams. He first needed to interpret dreams, his own dream, the dreams for people who cannot offer him anything in exchange, to the point where he migrated to interpreting dream for a king. The problem is, you are so desirous to get the opportunity before the king. You are anticipating that Pharaoh will call you. But right now, the problems that are showing up in your life, where that competence, where that skill will be needed, you are laying it aside. And you don't seem to understand that that will be the gateway through which you will appear before Pharaoh eventually. So he learned leadership, he learned self-discipline. He needed to learn self-discipline. He would not get the offer before Pharaoh if he did not go through that training school. He needed to build the competence of self-discipline, whereby, do you know the kind of people Joseph needed to work with? In Potiphar's house, of course, it was not only the wife of Potiphar that was eyeing him. What about the ladies he was working with? What about the people he needed to control? The chef who worked in the kitchen, the gardener who worked here, the person who was taking care of Potiphar's house. wife, he needed to learn the competence of self-discipline. So the journey was preparing for the premium opportunity that was going to come, and he grabbed and used it well in a form whereby when he appeared before Pharaoh, there was nothing that could disqualify him. Let me ask you this question. How are you preparing for the king's opportunity? I know you're a king yourself, you're preparing to be a king yourself, but how are you preparing for the king's opportunity? How are you preparing for the king's opportunity? So he learned negotiation skill. He learned negotiation skill. Part of the competence you have to build is the ability to learn and study history. The history of what you're doing, the history of your profession, the history of that course you're studying. Are you aware of it? Can you decipher patterns and decide what the next stage of your professional career, of what your life is going to be like based on certain patterns that you have studied in history? Okay, so competence spans beyond learning a skill to or building capacity. It can be used as a tool for positioning. So when we talk about positioning, where you don't have to pursue your dream, go after this, seek this, be there, be here, do this, do that. Skill can be a form of positioning where you can begin to attract opportunities, where people will begin to look for you because of the way you delivered in the past, where people will begin to speak about you without your permission. They will begin to speak about you to kings without your permission. So let me ask you, for example, in the last job you delivered for a client, in the last deal that you were able to deliver, even though the money it brought to you was not the highest in your industry, how did you deliver it? Did you deliver so excellently in a form where you think that you want to be recommended, you want to be referred? Have you seen people, this is very funny. Have you seen people who you give a job to do, and after they have done it shabbily, they'll say, Oga, beg, if you get friend, we won't do this work, make sure you call me. They are trying to request for referral when they delivered shabbily at a tax that you gave to them. So it's very, very important that you understand that excellence is a key that opens several opportunities. It's a key that opens several opportunities. So competence is key. Competence is key. Excellence is key. The ability to work diligently in a task, even though you are offered little in return, is a competence that will position you for greater opportunities. David interpreted dream for free, and he did it so excellently without holding anything back. Yet there was somebody there who was going to refer him to a king. Ask yourself this question. In the jobs you do, maybe you are invited to speak at a program, or you are delivering a webinar like I'm doing right now. Do you prepare so excellently in a form that the people who listen to you want to listen to you again, or speak about you to people in a circle they have the privilege to influence? Do you write even in a way whereby the people who read the things you write, they want to say, oh, because of the way you have written, I want to recommend you, you must come speak at this particular place. And they are willing to pay any amount to have you speak to them. Why? Because you understand that competence is an attractive force, is an attractive magnet that will draw greater opportunities to you. Very important. Very important. Now, I wrote something here. Don't expect to grow your opportunities if all you offer your organization is only what is written in your offer letter. I was so thrilled. There's this the late CEO of Access Bank, about Wigway. The event and scenario and certain event made me to find out so much about the man. Like I read certain things that were said about him from the time he was working in the first institution where he worked as I think as an intern or as an assistant officer or something. He was so diligent to the point that he continually grew in the rank. And these are the kinds of people that, beyond what they got in their offer letter, they were willing to give the organization something more. They were willing to give the organization something more. Those kinds of people, they never lose opportunities. That's why you should never envy the result people get until you know the price they have paid to get there. Never envy the result people get until you have understood, you have found out the price they paid to get there. People who are willing to give more than more than is requested from them. For instance, this is maybe the, like, currently now I'm in the third university that I've had the privilege to lecture, and at each instance, I've always had to do something more than just lecturing, more than just giving research. I just get called to be in this committee, be in that committee, be in this unit. Is draining, but I seem to understand the reason why now. That whenever you deliver excellently is always a call, is always a call to deliver again at something new. And whether you like it or not, it's building certain capacity in you, even though you also need to be deliberate about how you manage it. So what are you offering beyond what is available in your offer letter? What are you giving to your organization? What are you giving to your business? You say you're an entrepreneur. You say, for instance, you're a content creator. You say you're an author. Are you giving something more than that book that you're writing? Are you giving something more than the course that you're creating? Are you giving something more than the course that you're studying? Are you giving something more than just being a student in school? Are you giving something more? Are you giving something more? When you see people come out deliberately, they listen to them, they follow them, they can fight for them. Go and check up on what they are giving. They are giving something more than what you think. They are giving something more than what you think. So what else are you giving beyond what is written in your offer letter? Can you over deliver beyond what people are paying for? Very, very important. And this is why it's important that you have to build mastery in your business. You must build mastery in your well-defined and selected skill set. You must build mastery. Don't just say, is it not just to learn this thing? Oh, other people have learned it. It's not that hard. I'm going to do it the same way. I'll just follow it the same way this person has followed it. Can you get mastery? Can you build mastery at something that if they have to think of anyone in that area, you are the first person they will think about? So you build mastery. So number one, character. Number two, connections. Number three, competence. Now, number four, this is very important. If you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur, whether you sell products or you offer services. If you're a digital creator, you are someone who has a business you're managing, or you're managing business for someone, you need to listen to this one. Number four is creativity. I want you to check up on the people who seem to have mastered wealth. Check up on the people who seem to have mastered wealth in any nation, in any continent, in any economy, in any situation. There's always something they do. They understand the creativity of diversification. I'll say it again. They understand the creativity of diversification. Now, they are the kind of people that they understand, they start by a particular stream. And maybe I'll paint instances because some of these things are available publicly by the people who are there, and you can check up so that you can validate the things I'm saying. These people, they start a particular business, okay? So they start a particular business, or they start a particular enterprise. Let me use the digital space, for example. So they start, for instance, by writing a book. So they can write a book, they can title it something like, oh, make so much money by writing letters, even though you don't love writing. For example, I'm giving that instance. So they write the book, maybe they deliver it as an ebook. Let me use something that is very relatable. So they deliver as an ebook, and maybe they decide to put it out there for, say, $2 or $3, for example, and then they get lots of people to buy the book. And by getting lots of people to buy the book, they offer them some sort of bonus, and then they get their emails in return. Do you understand? That's just one stream. By selling books, the creativity of diversification. They start by selling books. Now, after selling that book, they will now say, oh, this is nice. Oh, you have read it, and maybe you are finding it difficult to start. I want to show you an hands-on method, a particular course that is going to be so simple and so detailed, and you'll be able to follow it. And this course is very, very cheap, $5. They'll just say, oh, pay $5. And then they create a course. Do you understand that scenario? They keep selling the book, they create a course out of the book. And after the course, people like, oh, this thing, I need someone to coach me. It looks like I'm being lazy. I need someone that I can be accountable to. And then as I begin to do this, and then they will sell a coaching offer to a very small number of people. They may say $20 or $50. Just like that. Diversification through creativity. In the product that you seem to be selling, in the service you seem to be offering, what are different diversifications that can take place? What are different approaches? You have not left, the person has not left that scenario of helping to build profitable authors, but the channels and approaches create certain diversity. For example, in a day when the book seemed not to be selling so much, the course will be selling. At a moment where the person is not maybe really focusing, has automated the course and all of that, the coaching stuff will be selling. Why? The person understands the creativity of diversification. Let me use fashion design, for example. Why? Because I have a fashion designer who is my amazing sweetheart. Now, for example, a fashion designer, for instance, is going to start by doing the work, like, oh, come and measure. Okay, and the person measures, sews the clothes, and then makes the clothes nice, and they will take picture and begin to post, oh, made by House of Order. Oh, and say, oh, the amazing gown and the amazing clothes was made by this and this and this creativity, and this and this and this dress, and this and this and this clutter. And then they do all of that. At another instance, people say, how did you make this style? How did you make this gown? This is very, very nice. Can you show us? Can you just send it? And then they begin to start, WhatsApp, they'll do voice note, give them all the description. And you just find out that a lot of people are asking you, like, how did you do that wedding gown? That wedding gown was so nice. This one is nice. This one is not the usual. You must show us the way. And then they might launch, maybe, for example, maybe a WhatsApp course, or maybe a video course, and then they now begin to do step by step, and then they put a charge on it. Diversification. You must understand that to build a life of options and to get to a point whereby you are financially, you can experience some measure of financial sustainability, you need diversities. Okay, you need to diversify your skill. You need to diversify your intelligence. For example, someone is an educator. You have an institution where you teach, you do all of that, you lecture, you mentor students, you supervise projects. At another point, you may be invited to speak at an event, maybe a career event, because they understand your expertise. You deal with young people, and by doing that, they pay you for speaking. At another instance, you might decide you want to write a book that will help that particular group of audience. You write a book and then you sell. At another instance, you can build a course for students who find it difficult to be able to transition from maybe their local environment to an international environment using the pathway of education. That's also another medium. You begin to build diversification through creativity. So the life of option will be created, and then you are not stranded and disempowered by the things that are happening around you. Build diversities, build diversity of enterprise, diversity of product, diversity of services, diversity of services. These are things that are very, very important. And I need to speak to people who, when COVID happened in 2020, there were a lot of people who had ideas and they implemented those ideas. Like people who never knew that they could come on Facebook and begin to create video and inspire people and get a lot of engagement. You know, they started doing those things. And little by little in 2021, 2022, when COVID started going down little by little, those people returned to relying on just their paid employment. And they don't understand that what happens again if another COVID hits, the crowd and the audience that you seem to have lost, you would have to now do a lot to get them again. Never lose the things that COVID taught you. Never lose those things COVID taught you. The same way, life of options, by diversifying, by being creative, never just put your resources, your funds, your money into just one particular place. So that at a time when a particular stream is not working, you can rely on another and begin to build wealth for yourself. Like you can still stay sustainable. Okay, this is something that is very, very important. Because whether you like it or yes, there will be a point where the stream you focus on may not be able to sustain your living, may not be able to sustain you for a long time. So you need streams. And that's why they call it streams. Streams. You need to build streams where certain things can help you out. Okay. All right. So I wrote here that stop pegging the highest rewards of your industry by the current revenue you get. Stop pegging. Stop saying, oh, it looks like the highest that people can really make from this particular thing is what I'm getting. No, you need to do research and find out. Those people, how did they get there? What did they do? What connections did they build? What kinds of competencies did they have that got them to that particular height? There is no wealthy man who lives by one single stream. There's no wealthy man on earth. Even Abraham, with the promise that God gave him, he didn't live by one stream of income. He didn't live by one stream of income. Go and read your Bible very well. He didn't live by one stream of income. Even Paul, who became really prominent and respected for his exploits after Christ, and in all of the things that we're seeing in the New Testament, he said, I became all things to all men that I may gain some. He didn't say, I decided to become just a Jew. I decided to just be a Jew, a Jew, a Jew, a Jew. It would have just been in one line that would have just only gained the Jew. And when the Jew now find out that, you are showing that you know this thing too much. You were not even there when Jesus came. We saw Jesus. And you are not doing as if you know everything. He would have lost the Jews and never he would not have gained the Greek. He would not have gained the Romans. So he said, I became all things, the creativity of diversification. And you see the reason why Paul was more successful in ministry than all the other apostles. Like he seemed to be successful by every human measure than many of the other apostles, because he became all things to all men. Now, all things to all men does not mean relinquishing your value and then letting your value go down. No, all things to all men is that when people in the middle class seem to seek for your service, you know how to offer it to them. When those in the higher class seem to need your service, you know how to offer it to them. And you know how to deal with all men without losing the rewards available in each of those things. So that's why sometimes you should not just say, hey, I'm this. If people cannot pay this amount, then go, just go. Sometimes the people on the high class that you need may not need your service at certain seasons, and the revenue that comes from the people in the middle class is what will sustain you at that time. So it became all things to all men that he might gain some. All right, very, very important. All right, and also make sure that you do not accept average outcomes in your life. Don't accept average outcomes in your life. Listen, there is nobody that when they were born, they said, you must be average. You can never go beyond average. No. Everyone who stayed average lived a life that kept them there. And everyone who stayed above average and they achieved something great in their lives, they did something deliberate that got them there. We all came to life to decide the destiny that we have. There is no one that is destined to remain at one position. You decide, you take action, you become deliberate, you keep moving on until you enter into the things that you foresee. Very, very important. So, number one, I spoke about character. Number two, I talked about number one, character. Number two, connections. Number three, competence. Number four, I spoke about creativity. Now, number five, you want to expand your options. You want to be able to make progress. You want to live a life of options. Number five, conferences. Conferences are amazing. Oh my God. Conferences are amazing. Conferences can help you build a life of options. You see that connection I spoke about, that part I spoke about connection. One of the best places and easiest places where you can make lots of connections is when you attend conferences. Like people you have never met in your life. You know, there are people you will meet in conferences. Now, how many of you, let me just ask, write in the comments, how many of you have been to a conference and when you saw someone, like you saw someone, you're meeting the person for the first time, and you're like, oh, maybe this person, you just try to weigh the person like, oh, this guy does not look like he would have achieved much. This guy looks like he's struggling and all of that. And you just decided to go meet and connect to that person and like, oh, can I meet you? Oh, my name is this. I'm so thrilled by your manner of approach and the way you comport yourself in this conference. Do you mind if I may know what you do? And you are now listening and be like, hey, my God, thank God I didn't look down on this guy. At that instance, you know, the next thing you want to do is I must connect to this person. I must connect to this person. Like you just add the person's name and then you now checked up on LinkedIn or checked up on Facebook and you're like thrilled by what the person is doing. And you connected to that person and you were just so delighted that you're able to connect. How many of you have had such connection before? Let me see you write in the comments. Let me see in the comment. Like you've had those connections that surprised you, that if you didn't talk to that person, you didn't attend that conference and introduce yourself to that person, you would never have known what that person was worth. You'd never have known. Like conferences are where you can meet some of the fantastic minds. Some of the fantastic minds. Like you go to conferences, for instance, if there's someone you have always looked up to on Facebook or you have always looked up to online, and you seem to be finding it difficult to reach out to those person, just look for a program they would be at. Those are the places that you will get them. Those are the places that you get them. You will get them like bam. They would listen to you. No escape route. I don't catch you. No escape route. I remember that I pursued one of my mentors. I traveled all the way from Abeokuta to Unilag just because I just wanted to see him and talk to him. And it was like, this is my person. And, you know, those kind of engagement. Conference is amazing. You see all the people that tell you, you just feel like, oh, this person is very busy. This person is this. Just go and hook the person in one conference. The person will attend to you. Most likely, they will attend to you. So conferences, because when you attend conferences, people take you seriously. And people are like, for you to come to this conference, it means there's something special about you. You're not like the masses. And they want to take you seriously. They want to listen to you. They want to attend to you. And then you can begin to weigh your options. Sometimes you may have fantastic business ideas that just sharing in the conference, people give you 1, 2, 3 ideas. They've done it before and they just give you the easy way out. And then you just implement. So attending conferences, amazing, whether virtually or physically. But I would more often suggest that if you have the means and you have the privilege to attend conferences physically, just go. Last year, I attended, for the first time, I attended Zenith Tech Fair. My God, That conference was amazing. Oh my God. I don't think I've attended a tech conference that now in Nigeria before. Zenith Tech Fair was really, really amazing. Really amazing conference. Come and hear people talk about AI, talk about robotics, talk about autonomous systems. Come and see, like, you'll just be in that hall where inspiration will just be coming amazingly. Zenith Tech Fair was one for me. And then they had this exhibition center where you begin to see people creating solutions, some of them solutions by young people, and you be like, my God, life, people have gone far. People have gone far. So those conferences are where you open your mind to know that what you feel is impossible is already existing. Like, you will break your impossible mindset, you will break your limiting beliefs and really know that things are going on in life. All right. So attending conferences would really, really help you, and you can get contacts, build contacts. And if you have the privilege, another thing I think you can do is, after a conversation, go to every conference with a business card. So when I say a complimentary card, it does not have to be like, maybe you have a business, maybe there's a skill or something you're doing, a social media, a digital creator, a digital agency, just create a business card, exchange cards, and then you begin to talk and all of that. So conference is very, very amazing. Meetups, they will change your life. A lot of guys have built their career around Google, Google Developers Group, around Google Developers Group. And those guys are moving. There were a lot of people who did this Google Digital Skill for Africa, and many of them have built businesses. I know some of them. I know some of them, and those guys are doing well just by attending conferences, reaching out, talking to people. Some have even gotten jobs through those means. Okay, so conference is very, very important. Now, number 6, cultures. And I would dwell a bit on this. I'll dwell a bit on this. Culture, very, very important. Culture. If you want to expand your options, listen to this. If you have to write it down and you need to listen twice, if you want to build a life of options that will change your life and grant you escape velocity opportunities, you must learn to deal with biases. You must learn to deal with biases. You must learn to not put your bias before people's faces. You must learn not to put your bias before people's faces. All those biases that people have, like ethnic biases, and you feel like, oh, if this person is not from my region, if this person is not from my tribe, if this person is not from my this, the ideas are very this, the ideas are all this, or you believe that a particular ethnic group, anytime you meet anyone like them, all of them are 419. All of them are scammers. You cannot trust any of them, and you keep having such bias in your mind. If you want to expand your option and you want to make the next level of progress, listen to this, you must learn to avoid your biases. Stop and try as much as possible not to engage people by your bias. Listen to people, discern people more wisely, so that you don't lose certain opportunities that will change your life. For some people, it's religion. It's religion. And I would tell you that's the reason why the opportunities that lots of people should have in life seem to be limited. The options a lot of people have seem to be very restricted. Why? Because of biases in their mind. Listen, the person that will change your life. Let me even point to you. Maybe you believe, maybe for example you're a Christian, for instance. The person who spoke about Joseph to Pharaoh, was that person a Jew? Was that person an Israelite? No. Was that person an Israelite? No, he was not an Israelite. He was not an Israelite. When Esther got to the palace, the person who gave her a recommendation of the kinds of deodorants, the kind of clothes, the kind of fashion wears that she should put on, was that person a Jew? No. But yet, that was the person that gave her the recommendation that eventually, when she appeared before the king, she was the one that won. She was the one that became the queen. You must understand that you must learn to deal with people as personality, not by the religion that they believe in. You must deal with your biases. Sometimes your greatest blessing, your greatest opportunities, your next level of breakthrough may come from someone who does not follow your kind of faith. Who does not follow your kind of faith. Avoid your biases of saying, this one. Even sometimes in the Bible, Jesus said that you must try to learn from those who are seen as unbelievers, learn from the heathens. He said the children of this world, they are wiser in their own understanding than the children of the kingdom. So you must avoid biases. Avoid biases. If you really want to build and expand the life of options, avoid biases. Deal with people as individuals and never look down on people because of where you're being, because that person you're looking down on may be the answer to your prayer. Oh my God, may be the answer to your prayer. Most of the times, not every long praying is because you are consecrated, is because you have to get the answer, is because this and this and this and that. Sometimes it's always because people are not wise enough to put aside their biases and then focus on the long-term thing. Just focus on long-term, focus on the long-term, and just focus on long-term and just have the bigger picture and choose to be flexible enough and choose to be open-minded in a form that can change your life. All right, so number one, avoid biases. Number two, honor all men. Young, old, illiterate, very literate, not wealthy, and the wealthy, not in the position of power and in the position of power, male, female. If you want to expand your life of option, you must honor all men. Let people engage you and feel very important, like, oh, this person esteems me so much. You may not know what answer that person will be bringing to your life. Culture, understand culture. And don't go to a place and feel like, okay, maybe you went to a foreign land, or maybe someone who is a foreigner came to your nation and you have to engage the person, and already in your mind you are judgmental about these people, they are this and all of that and all of that. You see all those stories where people begin to bring history and they want to bring you in a bondage that can limit you for a long time. You have to avoid it. You have to avoid it. Honor all men, irrespective of where they are coming from, irrespective of who you are. Honor all men. Honor all men. Very important secret. Have you studied the life of Jesus? How Jesus spoke to the person who was poor, how he spoke to the rich. He spoke to them in honor, in so much regard. How he spoke to his disciples, the one he met documenting tax, the one he met as a fisherman, the one he met, the one he met with his parents. He honored them. Honor all men. Okay, and lastly, culture. Part of culture. What are the things that make up culture? Your dressing, the way you talk, the things you do on a daily basis, the routine you create. Make sure you have a routine in your life that can guide you through destiny and help you become the person that you ought to be. Build a kind of routine in your life. For example, you build a system. Like when I wake up every morning, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things are what I would do before I step out. When I return from home, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things are things I will do before I sleep. Build a culture that would help you to be better. There are people who meditation is something that is in their routine. There are people who they must write something. They must just make sure they write on a daily basis. They want to write. They have to document something in the journal. There are people where They need to listen to something inspiring on a daily basis as they move on in life. There are people who, for example, they need to reach out to a friend and say hello. They need to check up on somebody. Build a routine in your life that helps expand the opportunities in life. Okay. And number seven, finally, courage. Build a system of courage. Build a system of courage. Okay. Build a system of courage. You must learn to build a system of courage. If I look at many of the things that God has helped me to do in life that people are now aware of, people see, people celebrate, people appreciate, and people feel like, oh, this is amazing, this is phenomenal. I will tell you that there are elements of courage in each of those things. Elements of courage in each of those things. Courage played a major role in every outcome of my life. Is it when I decided I wanted to do a master's degree, when I decided I was going to the service here, when I decided I want to pick a particular career? You know, courage played a major role in the things and outcome of my life. Even starting growth school required courage. I would have just prepared to be myself. Let me just be to myself. Let me live my life. Why should I be showing my face? Why should I be doing all that? No way. Courage. Courage. There are great opportunities in your life that are on the other side of your fear. If you are courageous enough to move against your fear, you will begin to attract certain opportunities that will change your life. Okay? The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. And that's it for tonight. But before I go, I also want to share with you, my book is still selling, my book, Courage, How Ordinary People Achieve Extraordinary Results, is still selling. It's available on Seller as an ebook. I think the hard copy available is almost exhausted. So you can get the ebook. It's available for just 1,000 naira. That's less than $1. So you can just go on Google, type Seller plus Abiodun Mustafa. Seller plus Abiodun Mustafa. So it will direct you to my Seller bookstore where you can just purchase a copy of Seller. So all you have to do is automated. Just go there, click on it, make payment, and then it's sent to your email. And you would also gain access to my bonus course, Courage Code, where you can actually access a lot of amazing things. I'm delighted about the review. In fact, someone who got a copy of the book is like, oh, that book is amazing. The book is helping our life. I've seen people who have been like, oh, thank God they read the book. Courage for everyday life, you know, courage in relationship, how to be courageous against internet bullies and all of that. You know, I wrote a lot of things on that in the book Courage. So I want you to go right away. Just go on Google, type Seller, SELAR plus Abiodun Mustafa. Then you can also type plus Courage. It will just take you to the link where you can get a copy of that book. I hope you got value tonight. I'm so delighted. Thanks, and happy vow. Should I say happy vow? Happy vow. Okay. So who was your vow? All right. So it's amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. If you have questions, you can drop. I will be willing to answer them. If you have questions, you can drop them. I'll be willing to answer them. I'll be willing to answer your questions. All right. See you when we see. The only person you are destined to be is the person you decide to be. See you again next week, 9 p.m. West African time, as we go Life of Option Part 3. Watch out. I will share the link. I will share the flyer, and get prepared to learn. Please do well to subscribe to this channel. Do well to like this video. It will be recommended to more people, and also share the link with a lot of your friends. Share it everywhere that you can. Share it in all places. Share it on the groups you belong to. Share it in different places, and let people come learn and experience the value in the life of options. bless everyone.